Everything is now working. Fantastic. Okay, right. So welcome everybody to this Convoy guest speaker session. For the first time this year, I'm actually doing it myself, and forgive me if this is a bit rough around the edges. It's the first time we're also trying to use live streaming to LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Never done it before. Haven't really tried it before. We tried just as Zoom to LinkedIn last week. It seemed to work all right, or some of it did. Then for some reason that I still haven't worked out, I then made it even more complicated for myself and started adding things like StreamYard to it. But you learn, you live and learn, and I'm hoping that this will be a useful session for everybody. So a few bits of introduction. I'm Christopher Ross. I'm the founder and CEO of Convoy Community. We're an organization dedicated to taking loneliness out of job hunting. And convoys are groups of people on similar journeys, each with their own destination. We've got convoys for job seekers, for entrepreneurs, for those who've found their next role and are getting embedded in it. And if you'd like to find out more, we'll be sharing a link later on where you can stick your email address in and tick a box or two, and we'll send you some information or interact. You can also just go straight to convoycommunity.com. Where you will also find information and a link to register for our next introduction. And we do an introduction on Thursday evenings twice a month, on the first and third Thursdays of the month. They're often quite fun. Sarah very kindly comes along and helps me out. And yeah, that's that bit. So if you are joining on Zoom, please feel free to share your Zoom addresses with each other. It's always what am I talking about? Not Zoom addresses, your LinkedIn addresses. That makes more sense, doesn't it? It's all events are really useful times to network and expand on your expand your network. So we'll talk a bit more about that as we go through the tips anyway. So what is there to say about that? Particularly for job seekers, it's good to expand your networks. 80%, we're told, of jobs are not filled by direct applications. So that implies that the jobs find you. And this session is really all about helping you set your LinkedIn profile up so that you are more easy to be found for the things you want to be found for. And I think that's probably enough about that for now. I'd love to connect to everybody. Unfortunately, I've pretty much run out of connections now due to a bad decision about playing a game with connections on LinkedIn, and it tops out at 30,000. Unfortunately, I've topped out. So I'm very happy to throw out some old connections in favor of some new ones, and I'll catch up with them eventually. So let's get started. I'm going to share a screen here. There'll be no slides today, but we will be using various examples of people's profiles who very kindly have previously told me that they'd be okay with that, to talk about the various elements. So I just need to set the share up on the live stream so that people can see it there as well. Just takes me a moment. There we go. So right, the first one we're going to talk about, first tip number one, is to fix your LinkedIn URL. Now you'll notice here on Simon's, it's got some random digits at the end of the URL. That's the address. LinkedIn likes it if you customize that. So you'll see for most people, Becky, there's a great example. Sorry about all these messages. Becky's is good example here where she's got her name. I wasn't quite so lucky. Someone else had Christopher Ross, so I had to go for something else, and I got Christopher Ross UK. But you'll see examples here. Addie has there was a way of stopping that happening, has his name. So easy thing to do, you go into your settings from the profile. If we look quickly at mine, I'll show you. So you go into view your profile. Right up here, you've got edit public profile and URL. You can see it up in this corner. You just click on that, and you have, still in the same corner, although it's difficult to spot sometimes, you've got your URL there. Click on the pencil, and then you can edit it. If someone's already got it, it won't let you save it. You can experiment a bit. The simpler, the better, obviously, and meaningful. Your name is meaningful. It's yours. It's your profile. So always worth using your name if you can. You might just need to add a dash. It doesn't accept dots, but you could use a dash. You can use an underscore. Maybe alternatively add a middle initial. And if you don't have a middle initial, I suppose like J.K. Rowling and others, you can just invent one. So that's the first one. Let's go back to the profile. That's tip number one. Fix your URL. So let's go for the next one. Next thing I'm going to talk about is profile pictures. So your profile picture, you want it to be as be a friendly picture. Graham's got a nice, lovely smile on this one. You want it to be clear and focused and well framed. If you look at Simon's here, there's some stuff going on in the background, and that's that we could improve on that picture there. Let's look at Becky's, really great example, gentle smile, uncluttered background. There's a couple of other things you want to think about with a profile. Let's look here. Sorry, more of these messages. If you're going to use the open to work flag, really well worth making sure that it's clear of your face is clear of it, so that it doesn't overwrite your face. I was going to just look for a quick example here. Of course, I haven't got one ready, but we can come back to that. You'll see that sort of thing very clearly when you look at examples. What else is there to say about pictures? Yeah, it should be just you and not someone else in there as well. Uncluttered, just you. Professional, unless if you have a profession that is, I know, something in entertainment, perhaps you might use something that is more related to that. But for the job seekers and for the entrepreneurs and those sort of folks, you want it to be as professional as possible. A little interesting extra on that: if when you take the picture, ideally it should be straight into the camera or looking slightly to your left. Now, if you think about when you look to your left, that's going to send the attention of the person looking at your profile into your profile rather than out of your profile. Let's see if we can find an example here. Actually, this doesn't keep coming up. Let's just get rid of that. You can see here's an example. Paul. So he's looking to his right slightly, pretty much straight on, but slightly to his right. So you're sort of being directed out of away from the profile. So this is a tiny thing, but it's, if you like, it's a Jedi mind trick, isn't it? You want your reader to be focusing in towards your profile. Let's see. Yes, Addy's. You see the way his body's faced is directed into the profile. So that's an interesting one, that one. And yeah, that's probably enough about profile pixel. We're going to run out of time, so I'm going to move on to the next tip. Let's just move on to this one. So there is something called the pronunciation function. Oops, we'll come back to banners later. Let's look for an example. Oh, I can tell you there's a. I've got mine. Oops, I'm sorry. This is, as I say, this is a little bit rough around the edges here. Hope you'll forgive me for that. So from the mobile app, you'll see that some people, when you look in the browser version, you'll see a little speaker, and it can Don't know if you can hear it, but it's designed originally to put the pronunciation of your name in there, but you can use it for other purposes. So you can only access that function from the mobile app, from the LinkedIn mobile app. But you can record the pronunciation. You can record a little elevator pitch of who you are and what you are. You can stick that one in there. Marginal gains. Remember, each of these things is another little marginal thing. So next one, tip number 4, make use of a video introduction. Now, best example I have at the moment is the wonderful Andrew McCaskill. He is a fantastic coach on LinkedIn. He's also one of the LinkedIn voices. And you can see if you look on his profile and we go to his picture, you'll see it pops up there. If you click on the picture, you then actually get a video introduction.
Hey, welcome to my profile. I'm Andrew McCaskill. I'm the recently named LinkedIn Changemaker for Careers and Unemployment. And
so you can use that to introduce yourself, a bit like a video CV, or to introduce the work you do or the company you are representing. Very powerful tool. Video is, we're told, one of the most important tools that you can use to help promote yourself these days. So uncomfortable, I know. I'm particularly not, as you can tell, particularly comfortable in front of a camera. I'm much more comfortable behind a camera than in front of it, but it's something well worth doing. Let's go to our next one. Have a banner. So you'll notice I think Picky's didn't know that one's got a banner here. We'll certainly look at that one, but this is the banner section. This is grayish section up here. LinkedIn likes it if you have one. So if you've got nothing at all, go and put a picture in of some kind, but make it relevant. And the next step on banners, of course, is to make it a custom banner. So if we go and look at Mary Ellen's, this is a great example. A banner tells your story. You know, a picture's worth 1,000 words. If you've got a picture and some words on it, it's going to be, I don't know, picture and a few more words. The idea here is to tell your story. So here we've got something that gives an idea of either the job title or the level. So we've got senior associate VP. We've got something about sector and industry. So we've got investment banking, particularly real estate. There's something here as well about ethical investing, ESG. So you're starting to get a feel for what makes this person tick. There's a bit of contact data here. Now, obviously, a graphic, a banner, is not readable, at least not yet, by the algorithm. But when a human comes to look at it, you're making it easier for that human to just knock off an email to you, or if you're happy to put your phone number in here, to just pick up the phone and speak to you. With recruitment, there's so much competition for jobs, although we're also told there's many jobs, but getting onto the shortlist is critical, isn't it? So making it as easy as possible for that resourcer to contact you is very important, worthwhile. If you're not comfortable having your mobile phone or your contact number on your banner or visible in your profile, then consider just getting a cheap SIM card. Libara does them in the UK for less than £5 a month or something like that, just for incoming calls. And then that it's known as a burner phone. So just put that in there, and once you've got your next role, you can just get rid of it. You could do the same with an email address. Just sign up another email address, ideally Gmail. That one they carry quite well, but make sure the email you're using is something professional, not I don't know, teddy bears picnic at gmail.com or something like that, which is less likely to have people take you seriously. Other bits on here, we've got her top qualification, her top degree. She's got an MBA and a certification, MRICS. I wouldn't fill the banner with all of the things you've got, but maybe the top one of each is really helpful. If you haven't got them, that's okay. Not everybody's looking for that. When I'm recruiting, I don't look for a degree specifically. If someone's got one, I want it to be, you know, their time well spent. But when you do have one, it's worth having it really obvious, and we'll come to that again in the headline in a moment. But the resourcer, again, will probably have a set of criteria when they're recruiting. And one of those criteria will be, does this person have a degree? So if they've immediately seen that, you've got the first tick in the box, and you're already mentally orientating them towards tick, tick, tick. Yes, we're going to talk to this person at least about an initial interview or something like that. Last two elements on here, it's just a couple of highlights from Mary-Elaine's profile, which is she's FCA approved. That's a valuable thing to a financial services organization, so that's well worth highlighting, and multilingual. So these are all really just little elements that help tell her story. What about the picture? Well, we talked about her interest in ethical investing and environmental and social governance. This little green shoot here is implying something to do with maybe sustainability or green stuff. And the gear wheels, the sprockets, that's giving you a taste of maybe business, industry, commerce, that sort of thing. Now, in different industries, it may carry a slightly different message, but the idea is to paint this picture that is saying something about you as a possible hire and how you might fit in. I do make these things for people. We'll come back to that later on, I think. So we've talked about custom banners. Now we were talking about just before degrees and certifications. Where you have your name on the profile, if you looked at, have I still got mine open? No, I don't think I have. How about no? Normally speaking, in LinkedIn, when you set it up, you normally just have your name, first and last name. But what I was saying before, for a resourcer who's going through shortlisting candidates, you want to orientate them towards ticking boxes, right? So if you put your degree after your name right here, then it shows up in the searches that they do using the LinkedIn recruitment module or other forms of search. It's going to show up straight away. Of course, the banner won't if you're just looking at a list of candidates, but your name does, and your headline, which is the bit we're going to come to next, does as well. So if you've got your degree showing up here, it's one of those ticks in the box, and you add it just by editing your section, this section, and just dropping it in. Incidentally, anything you're not sure how to do, Google it. There's lots of information there. If you get really stuck, phone a friend. Contact me. That's another way of doing it, and we can book time and that sort of thing. So that's about that's tip number 7. Put your degree and certification in next to your name. The next one, powering up your headline. So the headline section is this bit here. By default, LinkedIn puts in your most recent job headline from your experience section, but you can customize this, you can edit it. Question then is, what do you put in it? So if you're on the job hunt, you want to put in here the job titles, or a few versions of the job titles that you want to be found for. If you can imagine that a recruiter is going to be searching for people who have a particular job title to fill, you know, that job description that they're looking for, then actually having that job title in your job title is in your headline is going to help you be found for this kind of role. So there will be different versions of it. So use multiple versions. Have we got another quick example? That's not the best example. Simon has here. Simon's got a great example here. Cybersecurity. So CISO, CSO, BISO, Head of Information Security, Head of Cybersecurity. These are all the kind of job titles that someone's going to use to search for someone to fulfill a role like that. So that's one of the elements you want to put in there. The other things you might want to put in there as well are sector, and you can see he's got financial services and healthcare. So he's got 2 sectors. don't go crazy with the sectors, because you want to kind of concentrate your firepower as much as you can. If you let it go too wide, then you're not going to perhaps be seen quite so high up in the listings. So maybe select one kind of select one industry or sector, and just keep with that for a month or so before changing it to another one, and see how it goes. So concentrate your firepower in one area for for a period of time, so you can see what's happening. What else would we put in here? We've got you could put your degree or professional qualifications, certifications up in this section as well. Those are the sort of things that people may search for, so I would put those in. Certainly consider putting those in there as well. What else we're going to say here? Yeah, keep a couple of variants. So in marketing, you might have marketing director, head of marketing, marketing manager. So you would probably put all three in. Target sector, concentrating your firepower, mentioned that one. Yes, be like Sherlock and use the pipe character. So sorry, joke about. So the pipe character is this little vertical line here. You'll notice that some people use commas, and that's okay, but it turns out that the LinkedIn algorithm is just a little bit more interested when you use this vertical line. On a Microsoft keyboard, it's next to the bottom left-hand shift key. On a Mac, it's usually on the middle row furthest to the right next to the enter key. And it could be somewhere else, depending on what language keyboard you've got and what device you've got. Why does it work? Not entirely sure. It might have something to do with Boolean logic, and the algorithm is a machine learning piece of statistical technology. So maybe it has something to do with that. How it works, we don't really mind. It's not that important, but it apparently works, so well worth using it. Excuse me. Next one. This is an interesting one. So, excuse me, I'm going to need some water. Or gin, maybe. Right. Must talk to Bombay Sapphire about sponsorship. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is location. So here we've got Tunbridge Wells. Now, lovely city, one of UK's great cities. But does Simon want to work in Tunbridge Wells, or does he want to work in somewhere else? So the tip here is to use your location to set your location to the area, that the geographical location you want to work in. And I don't think you can have internet or remote in that yet, anyway. But set it for where you want to work. So you might live in a little village outside London, but there's not going to be that much work showing up there. So you would set your location to, I don't know, somewhere, maybe the City of London, or you might set it to a very particular area around, well, not too particular, but you might want to pick an area that's more located around the hub that you would take a train into, or something like that, Liverpool Street or Waterloo or something like that. So it can just help when the recruiters are using the recruitment modules. It helps to target the location where you would apparently have a really good, easy commute. So now it's up to you where you want to commute to and from, but this can help show you up in an area where you would be comfortable to commute to. So that's a good use of that one. Now I'm going to just take a moment here while we're talking about location. I hope you don't mind. I'd like to make a quick appeal for your help. So Convoy's been very fortunate to have been approved, as you've seen from this stuff, if you can still see it, the European flag here. We won 2 grants from the European Social Fund to deliver the Convoy program, the Convoy system of job seeking and support to people in Dorset and the Thames Valley. So I need your help to find people who are unemployed and living in Dorset or Berkshire, who could benefit from the convoy model, which has helped 55% of our job seeking members find their new roles in about 2 to 3 months. So we know it works. We just need to find people for whom we can help make it work. It's not going to cost them anything. The European Social Fund has funded this. We're looking for not that many people, 20 or 30 people in each of those locations, that we can share our system with and support them through that job seeking process. And anyone who has been job seeking, particularly during the pandemic, knows how incredibly lonely it can be. Our intention with Convoy is that that people arrive at their new job, at their new destination, their new job, untraumatized by the journey, delivered as it were by the DHL white glove service rather than the alternative black boot services, if you know what I mean. So that's the appeal. If you know anybody who's both unemployed and living in Dorset or Berkshire who could use some help on their job search, please let them know. Send them to convoycommunity.com, connect them to me via LinkedIn, any method you like. We're just really happy to help in any way that we can. Okay, so let's carry on. Let's talk about connections. It's good to have at least 500 connections, because apparently LinkedIn takes more interest when you have 500 or more. And I read recently that 1,500 is quite a good number to aim for, because it gives you a good spread of your network and a good spread of feeds into your LinkedIn social media profile. The thing to remember about connections is that it's not just about your first level of contacts. So if we were to just do let's stop this from the top. If we were just to go and just search LinkedIn for people, you'll see that they just topped 800 million now. Oops. Obviously making it work hard today. Yeah, just over 800 million people now on LinkedIn. Well, most of them are people, hopefully. And if you think about your first level connections, yeah, in my case, it's around 30,000, but please, I beg you, don't do what I did. It's really too much of a headache. But if you think about not just your first level connections, but also your second level connections, how big is your network once you add the second level? Because that's very close. That's only 2 degrees of separation. So 2.6 million there. So on average, people will have between 100 to 250 connections. Most job seekers will be aiming for 500 plus. So for every one person you're adding to your connections in LinkedIn, you're actually adding perhaps as many as 250 to 500, and in Connect to Me you get 30,000 for the bargain. Why is that important? Well, because if 80% of jobs are not found through a direct application, not filled through a direct application, then it implies that those jobs are finding you. So where's that coming from? It's coming from your network. And from what I've heard, 73% of the time it's coming from the second level of your network. So perhaps don't be too overly fussy about who you accept as a connection, so long as they're not obviously trying to sell you something and not being rude or unpleasant or inappropriate. But apart from that, probably worth having that connection, because it's the people they're connected to that are going to be super important to you in that way. Whenever you do make a connection, always customize it if you can. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by showing you how to do all that. I'm sure you've done it all multiple times, but you want to make sure you have a reason to connect to people, and one of those reasons can be you're in a similar group. and want to connect through that. I think LinkedIn looks quite kindly on connections you make in groups that you're a member of, but again, you don't want to spam people. Okay, let's go on to our next. Oops, I forgot to move the title on. Right, we're going to go on to, well, number 13 now. How are we doing for time? I think we're doing all right. You want to supercharge your about section. So the about section, let's go back to Simon's, is this bit down here. You've got quite a lot of space that you can use in this section. It's, I think, it's multiple thousands of characters. It's worth using all of it, because when recruiters are using, and or not just recruiters, but anyone who's looking for business support, so on, it's going to pick up the keywords and the sort of things that are in your about section. So you might think of the about section a bit like the profile section on your CV. And you could be using sections from your CV in here. This is going to be longer than the profile section, the bit at the start of your CV that just gives a quick snapshot of who you are, what you're looking for, and what you bring to the party. Or was that a work event? Anyway, the opportunity here is to supercharge it with keywords, and I'm going to, hopefully, if we've got time, I'm going to show you how we can find that. That's a method using the resume builder, which not a lot of people know about. So it's but it's interesting. I'm hoping that's going to help people a lot. The sort of thing you want to put in here is the real highlights. Now you notice that when someone first goes into your profile, let's refresh this and we'll see what it looks like to start with. You don't see very much of it. You just see the first few lines. So you want to be grabbing people's attention in that first 4 lines there. So perhaps think of highlighting, the first thing you highlight as being your greatest achievement, the thing that you are most proud of, or that had the greatest impact. What else can we say about the about section? You want to stand out, don't be boring. Always avoid cliches. Think about, what would someone be searching for? What would they be looking for? And that's what you want to have in there, so that that's what can be found by a search engine. Showcase your greatest achievements. I mentioned that. Make them measurable. You'll have often heard of people talk about SMART goals and that sort of thing, but you want it to be measurable so that someone reading it can get a feel for how big this is, and it gives it more credibility. Think about how you positively impacted the people you worked with or worked for, and think about keywords rather than buzzwords. Now, that's a hard one, because they might just be the same. This also leads into the experience part of your profile. If you think about that, that's like the experience section of your CV. People on LinkedIn will use it in different ways. Some people use it just to list what they've done, where they worked. Simon's done that to some extent here, but there's an opportunity here. Excuse me. There's an opportunity to actually highlight your greatest achievements in each role, and when you do that, let's see, this is about Simon's, what he's looking for now. And if you're looking at the his historical record here, you've got in this section, you can actually put a narrative about your experience at that company. Obviously, you're not going to expose any secrets or anything like that, but if you're able to put in there, using what are known as store or star stories, star or saw stories, and making it measurable will give you the opportunity to really set the stage for your achievements in that role, and that's more likely to grab the interest of the reader. The temptation is to list the responsibilities you had. Now, for a head of information security, let's say, or a security manager, a recruiter or resourcer is going to have a pretty good idea of what that job description would be. So don't use your firepower, don't use your firepower to describe the job description. Use it to describe your achievements. Now, the thing about the job description is that will have keywords in it, or description of that job will have keywords in it that would be relevant to the search. But maybe the thing to do there is to put that further down the description. Let's look at another example. You see that each time you get see more, if you're starting off with something about the job description, then you haven't got the greatest impact from that few lines that you could have had. So if you capture someone's attention with your greatest achievement first, and then they're going to click on see more, hopefully, and then read more about what you did, what you achieved. Hope that makes some sense. So that was about job title and meaningful experience. Make the experience section as meaningful as possible. Right, the next really quite interesting thing is this thing about using the resume builder for keyword searches. So when you go into the job section on your profile, down the left-hand side, there's this thing called resume builder. And you can use that to create a resume from your profile. We're doing all right for time, so I'm going to do this demonstration now rather than at the end. So if we were to pick a job title, let's say, I don't know, marketing director. I'm not a marketing director, but we're just going to do this. It's going to do this on my profile. You have to pick it from the list and then click apply, and it makes a quick CV. Now, or resume. Now, you're not really interested in the CV. It's just pulling bits of your profile straight into a template. The summary bits, that's coming from your about section, and then the experience sections that follow it. The important, but you can ignore that left-hand side completely. What we're interested here is in the resume insights. So what it's saying here is it's found, these are the top keywords we found in your resume that are relevant for your desired job title. I'm clearly not well suited to this one. It says these are the ones we suggest should be in your profile. These are the top keywords you can consider adding to your resume that are common to both your desired job and past experience. So it's looking for these keywords in your past experience. So that's why it's important to make best use of that experience section and actually use a narrative, not just the job title, the dates, and how big the company was. This is an opportunity to get these keywords in on, and this is real stuff that you've actually done. Obviously, you don't want to put stuff in there you haven't done. That's, I think, known as fraud. So that's only useful if you're a politician. So what you can do is go and immediately do some work on your CV. You can redo this check and you'll see, well, how many green ticks have you got now? Let's see what would happen if I was looking for an information technology director. Information technology. I've got director in here. Director, oh, there it was. Director of information technology. Let's see how my green ticks do on that one. Oh, I've got a few more. 1, 2, 3, you've got 7 there. And there's suggestions of others, which if I want to be an IT director again, that's what I used to do, that I need to look at getting those into my profile somewhere. Would increase my likelihood of showing up in a search. If you've got the premium version, it'll show you some extra ones down the bottom there. So remember that what it does on the left-hand side is less important. It's what being picked up here on the right-hand side that is of real interest. If you're not sure what the keywords are and you don't have a premium version of LinkedIn, just ask someone who has to do a search for that job title and just copy and paste these keywords for you, and then you can go and manually try it yourself. The resume builder does work for everybody, not just premium ones. It's just the insights are a bit deeper when you have the premium version. LinkedIn will give you a month free if you haven't had a free month from them, or haven't had it for a while. Then you can get a free month from them to look at things like that. Hope that one's interesting. It's something that not a lot of people know about. So our next one, feature your feeds. So there is a section at the top of the LinkedIn profile which is all about your things you've done, or things you want to feature, I should say, not things you've done. What am I talking about? Here it is, the featured section. If you haven't got anything tagged to be featured at top of profile, then this section may not, it won't appear. And I think you can turn it on and off using the profile customizing tool. You can see here that I've added a variety of posts. How do they get in there? Well, if you're in a post that you've done, let's go and look at this one. There's 3 little dots at the top of your post when you can just pick feature at top of profile. And now if we go and look at my profile featured section, you can see it shows up straight away as a featured item. Why is that useful? Well, if you've written a particularly interesting post or an article, or have some really intelligent comment about something, this then appears high up in your profile. So if someone's coming to your profile and looking at it, they're going to pick up this and maybe explore more deeply into your profile than they would a profile that hasn't got anything featured. It's not featuring anything of your interaction. And there is some suggestion that, of course, writing posts helps elevate you in the LinkedIn profile, in the LinkedIn algorithm. Using the function, all the different functions in LinkedIn, also allegedly helps increase your visibility in LinkedIn. So this next tip is about being visible, and comment, post, share, write, tag people in comments. All of these things will help keep LinkedIn more interested in your profile. And when you're thinking about, well, if you're uncomfortable writing posts because you're worried about it or you just haven't done it yet, you could start just with comments. They do count towards your LinkedIn algorithm score, but your own original posts will count for more. Think carefully about being too controversial. It probably does work in some sectors, but when you are in the job hunt, you will find the recruiters will look through all of your social media to see what they can find. These days, anything out there is fair game for looking at. So think about what's visible, and if you've got Facebook profiles that perhaps are a bit personal, you might want to have a separate professional profile as well, and try not to link them together. So start with just making intelligent comments. You can tag people in comments. That's something that also attracts interest of the algorithm. And as you write more posts, you could perhaps, if they're relevant, link some posts together and turn them into an article. Articles are long form posts, a bit like blogs, or more detailed, that LinkedIn fully supports. You can also do it the other way. You could write a longer form article, and when you've got it absolutely right that you're happy with, you could then break that up into posts and share them as individual posts. So you could do it, you can do it both ways. Right. Well, that was I presaged my next tip there, which is turning comments into posts into articles, and articles into posts. So there is a way where, when you're commenting on other people's posts, LinkedIn occasionally asks you or invites you to lead the conversation, so you can turn your comment into a post that then links back to the original post. You can get surprisingly large numbers of interactions on posts when you do that. Good, right. Another thing you can do is to join something called a posting pod. That's a group of people that have agreed that as long as the post resonates, that they'd be happy to do a reaction, to like, share, celebrate, and comment on each other's posts. I would avoid, like the plague, any of those pods that make guilt trip you for not interacting with them. The one we have in Convoy is that you only like, comment, share if you resonate with the post. But the idea is to give your post some of that LinkedIn love, which will help it trend. So to do that, it needs a certain amount of interaction in the first 1 to 2 hours of the post being put out there. And it's something like, I'm not sure exactly what the number is. I'm sure it changes all the time, but it's like 15 to 20 interactions and a handful of comments can help the LinkedIn algorithm see your post as, oh, people are interested in this. I'll share it with more of your network. And that can, of course, generate more interest, and it can share it out. You'll be surprised at the sort of things that do end up being shared intensively. It doesn't have to have a picture. Sometimes text-only posts do really well. Sometimes you can put a lot of effort into getting just the right picture with the right graphics and the right text in it, and nothing really happens. 20 people look at it or something. I wouldn't worry about it very much. Animals apparently do really well in these, but it's got to be relevant. I mean, this isn't Facebook we're talking about here, although a lot of people treat it like that. You're trying to add value to people. You're trying to give them some intelligent idea, comment, piece of information, a tip, whatever it might be, that's going to, improve the world in a tiny way, in a little bit. Improve the world just a tiny bit. So that's posting pods. The next tip I would say is to measure what matters. Now, if you were trying to lose weight, you would probably measure your weight regularly, but that is what they call a lagging indicator, and it's telling you the result, but it's not telling you what you did that worked to get you that result. So when you're trying to get more attention into your LinkedIn profile, you want to be thinking about what are the activities that, if you do them regularly and consistently, is going to get you more attention. There is something called the social selling index, which is something, it gives you a bit of an insight into how the LinkedIn algorithm sees you at any particular time. And if we have a quick look at it here, we can see what is very simple URL there, linkedin.com/sales/SSI, and it'll pop up this page, which gives you an index based on your industry sector, and based on your network of where you are in this sort of score out of 100. The score itself is probably not the most important thing. What you want to do is to find out what it is, be consistent about your posting, your connecting, your searching, and your interactions, and then see what direction it's going. You'll get some little tips under these question marks. It tells you what these components are. The overall score is made up of these 4 components. So you can perhaps work on one for a week or 2 and just see where it's going. That score isn't calculated in real time. If you made changes today, you'd need to give it 24 hours before you can see whether they're how that's impacting your score. There is apparently a limit as to how high you can get it without subscribing to the Sales Navigator, this tool that mentioned up here, which is quite an expensive tool. It's used for sales. It's for salespeople. So it's an investment in their business, but for most people, one wouldn't have it. I don't have it. This is free stuff that they provide. So I think that limit is something like 75 to 80. And it's the direction of travel you're interested in there, not the absolute value. Okay, 22. Gosh, we're almost there already. I didn't think this would fit into an hour, but it looks like we made it. LinkedIn Live is and other events are great places to network. Now, getting found, getting discovered, getting noticed, or noticed is more of a social media thing, but getting found in a business sense and in a recruitment sense is about your network. So like we have today, we've got 30 plus people on our LinkedIn, on our Zoom today. There's a bunch of people on the live broadcasts, I hope, if it's worked, that have an opportunity to connect. So whenever you have that opportunity, share your LinkedIn address, connect with people, just have a conversation. You don't have to be asking them for, can you get me a job? People don't like that very much. It's about just being normal, being a human. So let's over deliver a bit. Let's have a few more. I've got a few more here that I made a note of. Once you've got your profile tuned, I think it's worth letting it settle for a while. So, bake for 45 minutes in a medium oven and then rest for 4 to 6 weeks after you've given it a good roast. You don't want to change too much. You don't want to be making changes all the time, because those changes you won't know what's working. It's back to the point about measuring what matters. You want to be able to make a change, do an experiment, and then see how it's affecting the attention you're getting. There's another section of the profile which I should point out here. Where is it? Where's the bit that tells us how many people have been looking at your... Oh, here it is, analytics. You have private to yourself, you have a section that shows you how many views you've had in the last week. Oh, 90 days, sorry. So apparently mine's popped up a bit. That's great. It'll even show you who's been looking at your profile. And if you are job searching and one of the people looking at your profile declares themselves as a recruiter, you might want to connect with them and say, I noticed you were looking at my profile. Is there anything I can help you with? It might give you an opportunity to have a conversation with them, which could potentially lead to a job. This is interesting. It says there are 28 interesting views. So the algorithm is saying, well, some of these views have got some kind of significance because of its match with the profile. Worth looking into. Right, that was... I'll let it rest. I would also say, be careful not to obsess about your social media anyway, and LinkedIn in particular. Limit the amount of time you spend on it. When job hunting, particularly if you're not currently working, you could find yourself spending hours and hours on LinkedIn, either looking for jobs or looking for contacts or that sort of thing. Limit it. Make sure you've got some balance, and set it down. Have a conversation with another human, and don't just be neck deep in your profile. Do limit it, and you'll find yourself being more effective in your profile generally, just in terms of what you're searching for and looking at. Ask for help. If you're stuck with anything on your LinkedIn profile, phone a friend, arrange a one-to-one with me, that sort of thing, and we can go through parts of it in more detail. You're not on your own, particularly with Convoy, if you're not already part of it. We work on a community basis, so people are here helping each other to check something, to try something out on a profile, to get an opinion on the wording on something. It's well worth just asking someone else for help. And in that sense, you know, share the journey. Don't be by yourself. The job seeking journey is an incredibly lonely one anyway, and in the pandemic, as we said earlier, it's been made that much worse with the isolation. So, you know, join a group. If you've got a local job club, that's worthwhile. If you're an entrepreneur, join a local entrepreneurs group or a local business hub, business accelerator, that sort of thing. You know, be with people. It does help, and they will know other people, and that's the network effect. You know, it's the second level of networks that large chunks of your opportunity may come from. Okay, I think I want to pause there. I'm going to very quickly drop in the chat, the Zoom chat. There's a link to a form. If you would like a summary, we've got a, let's stop that screen share over there and stop that one over here. And just need to do a new share. It's going to let me. It's not going to let me. Okay. Sorry about the for the folks on the live stream. The live stream tool seems to have gotten a bit. Oh, there we are. Fixed it. Take a moment. Right, go back. So in that link, there is a form, which if you'd like to leave your email address and tick the appropriate boxes, we will send you a copy of a PDF, which has a summary of all the tips in it. If you're not already part of Convoy and you'd like to know more about Convoy, tick that box and we'll send you some information. You'll find plenty on the website too. And lastly, if anyone would like a customized LinkedIn banner, I would normally do the 30-minute interactive session on that for £97. I'm going to do a special offer for people who have seen this stream. It's £47, and I'll be planting 50 trees for anyone who wants that in a project that we're doing, that we're connected to out in the gold standard reforestation projects. So that's linked in that link. Or if you want a one-to-one LinkedIn consultation, there's an offer for that as well in there. Apart from that, I think we've covered all the bases. Let's open up for questions. If you'd like to just open your mic and speak, that's great, or you can put the question in the chat. And if you need to leave now, you're welcome to. We've been at it for an hour. We will have question time for about another 30 minutes or so. Wish you a very pleasant week, and thanks for joining us. So anybody got any questions they would like to ask about LinkedIn profiles? Want us to take a look? We can pop up your profile and take a look right now if you like. Anybody got any questions at all?
Chris, I put a question in the chat, but I just noticed, right at the very, very beginning, when I'm sort of copying my LinkedIn address over, sometimes it comes over with a whole load of other text attached to it, and sometimes it just goes in as a URL, but it actually doesn't look like a URL, so you can't click on it, so you have to then copy and paste it into the chat. All right.
Do you mean in the Zoom chat?
It's not just in the Zoom chat, but I mean, I did put the question in the Zoom chat with an example earlier on.
Ah, right. Okay. I think the key to it is having the full URL. So if I was to type in the chat linkedin.com/
I basically copied it from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So I went to my profile.
Yeah.
Justin Basil. I copied that into the chat box and then a whole load of other text.
Okay, yeah, I can explain that one for you.
So it does come up as a URL. Sometimes I see also that people put in a URL, but actually it's not exactly Tickle.
Right. So if you were to pick it up from your contact info, for example, so sometimes people will go and copy it from there. And yeah, if you were to do that and then paste it in, and I'm dropping it into the chat as an example, you'll see that that isn't a live link. If you copy it from up here, though, if you copy it from the URL line, at least in a Chrome browser, and drop it in, you'll see it comes with the HTTPS on the start, the slashes, and the whole lot. And that is a fully clickable link. So for the link to be clickable, and this is the case in lots of screen sharing systems, that sort of thing, that's going to be the issue there. It needs to have the full HTTPS : / all the rest of it. For LinkedIn, in fact, you can leave the W's out. Sometimes some domains need it, some don't. Did that cover it for you?
Yes, I mean, I think there is something slightly different. Sometimes, if I don't know if it's to do with my setup. If I right click on a link in my profile, it does come up as a click on link, and the link does work, does take, but it's just got lots of other text attached to it.
Whereabouts are you picking up the link from?
From exactly where you got yours.
From the URL line or from the contact info?
From the contact info, sorry, yes. From yours first.
If you take it from contact info, let's see what comes in. Oh yes, that lot. Yeah. Actually, I'll share the screen again because you'll be able to see this. So you'll see here what happens if you look at the URL line. If I click on contact info, oh no, it didn't do it that time, did it? If I copy the link in address, actually it has got some extra stuff coming up here. You can see that. But if you take this is actually got something else in the link.
I mean, essentially what you're saying is it's better to do it from the URL.
Yeah, the best place to do it is from there. Yeah. Typing it in is possible as well, but it's likely to result in occasionally in mistyping it.
Thank you. Sorry for that.
No, that's all right. It's a good one to mention because quite often you'll see if you're in a large networking group or a large session with lots of people in it, and the chat gets filled with lots of these links, and you want to just capture them and then click on them later. Of course, do remember that you can save the chat in Zoom. If you've never done that before, if you don't know how to do it, you'll find at the bottom right-hand sort of corner of the Zoom chat, there are 3 little dots. You click on that and you can click on Save Chat, and then you've got your chat saved as a text file. Then the trick with the text file, because if you open it, it usually opens in Notepad or a simple text editor if you're on a Mac. Those links might not be live links, but if you were to copy that and drop it into probably into Microsoft Word or something, I use OneNote, but if you drop it into something which understands HTML links, HTTP links, when you drop it in, it'll make all those links live, and then you can start clicking on them all rather than have to go copy it from here, drop it into your browser, wait for it to open. You can just go click, 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 click. all the way through, which is a useful way of saving you time. Yeah, cool. Have we got any other questions in the chat? So I've been talking and demoing, so I haven't looked back through them. Yes, the question about it being recorded. It is recorded, and we'll send it out to anyone who's registered. Yeah, I think that's looks like all the questions. So I think we're done for today, aren't we? Pretty much. Thank you all for joining us. Really appreciate you coming along and listening. Spread the word, and we'll see you next time. Gisela, who's our speaker next week?
Gary Stora.
Gary Stora. Fantastic. It's about how to get into portfolio careers, isn't it? How to
That's right. Yes.
apply for portfolio. So brilliant. All right then. Thanks everybody. See you next time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Recording stopped.
Thanks, Christopher.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye, Marilyn.
I checked it just before to be sure I remembered.
Right, let's end the broadcasts.